Jim Cleaver here. Welcome to the channel. This is Economics 2002. There's a guy I listen to, a podcast I listen to that's what he always starts. His name is Vinay Prasad, and I go to him for all things medical. Brilliant guy, brilliant statistician, Vinay Prasad. If you want to follow him, I'll give him a little plug. But that's when he's really angry at the FDA or something. He always starts his channel. Well, welcome to the channel. It's my impression of him. And anyway, he's a fabulous man. This is Colorado Mountain College, and it's Eco 2002, which is microeconomics principles. As you can see by the screen, we're going to go through some homeworks and try and. It's a summer course, 10 weeks. It's a sprint. So I don't have a lot of students in this class, and if you're a viewer that's not a student, you're just fascinated by microeconomics. Welcome. I think economics is my favorite field of study. I'm an MBA in strategic management and accounting, and finance really is my wheelhouse, but I come from a finance family, if you will. My father was on Wall Street for many, many years. I dabbled in it, did other things, but have always been a trader. And that's what we're actually doing that today. As you can see, I'm a technical analyst. We were trading the Qs this morning, particularly these two candles. These are Japanese candles that I use for technical analysis. This is a hole in the chart, historic, and there's supply and demand areas. And we can go. If you're ever interested in that, as a student of mine, I'm here in my little office. This is my bunker downstairs from my wife's store. My Village Vintage is upstairs, and I'm down here. I've got some storage here, and we've got a little makeshift office. Joel and I, CNBC's on the pointing. It's on the wall over there. That kind of tells me where the momentum's going. CNBC is my least favorite channel. It's like an infomercial for buying stocks. But nonetheless, they do affect the market momentum, I think. Methinks. But we've got a bunch of screens here and all kinds of information streaming live. So, but back to the matter at hand, which is your homework and microeconomics. I'm going to click on Macmillan Higher Ed here. We're in a book by Dr. Krugman and Dr. Wells. They are Keynesians, which I am not. Keynesian is a school of economics, deriving from John Maynard Keynes. And I'm recording. Ladies, how are you?
I didn't know we were going to find something.
Yeah, that's okay. And anyway, Keynes's book is behind me in this bookshelf. My wife just walked in to look at stuff from her store, from upstairs. So anyway, I'm going to go into the Macmillan content here in Achieve, and we'll go through some homeworks to help you early on here. So I've got them all lined up here, and you can see them going all the way back to chapter 1. I'm not sure I'm going to do that. I think I'll start with chapter 2. If you should be able to get through first principles pretty well, but I'll do 5 or 6 chapters or run for an hour or so, and then I'll do the rest in the coming days, so that you have check figures to go over. So if you haven't started these, get after it. It's time to go. And they're quizzes, and they're fairly. Most of them are in quiz form. My grading settings are pretty easy. I hope you get unlimited amounts to do it. I just want you to learn something here. I'm not really interested in grades per se. Your education's your own now. You're on your honor. We used to have honor codes. Now you're really on your honor because nobody cares. They act like they do, but they really don't. It's my opinion. Here we are in the question. So this is production of zucchini, right? Eggplant, Nutley Township. And this is production possibilities. Well, we went over this in class, and right, there's no explanation here. There's a solution. We are efficient. All right. And I think they have feedback here too. Here's cell phones. All right. Shift the production possibility curve outward to PPF2. And here's the question view, and here's the way it went. And there's the solution, of course. The correct move is there. Right, shift it outward. So use cell phones and automobile technological improvements will likely shift that move, shift the production possibilities frontier outward. That's the big T technology. Here's speedboats. PPF for 2 countries that produce pomegranates and speedboats. The axes of 2 graphs are measured at equivalent units. U.S. is operating at point M, Belarus at point N, right? The opportunity cost of producing an additional ton of pomegranates would be greater in where? Well, Belarus. You can see by how steep that line is. And I think I have some feedback that's correct. It gives you incorrect feedback and stuff. For me, anyway. And try again. Let's see. But that's the solution, Belarus. You can see why just by mathematically thinking about it. Number 4 is 6. Use the table PPF schedule 2 if the economy is producing at point C. Right? The opportunity cost at point D is 6 cell phones. Right? D is if we're at point C, 2 computers and 14 cell phones, and we move to D, 8 and 6 is 14. 14 minus 8 is 6. 14 minus 8 is 6. It's going to cost you 6 cell phones. Okay. That is suppose Pennsylvania produces only steel and barley and fixed amounts of land, labor, capital. Which scenario best sets the stage for economic growth? Well, university degrees, right? They're trying to get you to think about. Let's look at some of the default feedback. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it doesn't have any incorrect. Check answer. There again. Oh, here it is. I'm still not getting it. That's all right. That's Pennsylvania. Apple cider here. And incorrect feedback here. Let me see. But there's the solution. And the correct one, using its resources more efficiently and opportunity costs are 0. So in the question view, so that's apple cider. Now, outward is correct. In a situation where there are technological improvements, we generally see an outward shift. That goes back to question 1. Should have been easy. Let's see. United States and Germany. That's another one. 2 countries, 2 goods, barley and aluminum. Linear production possibility, frontier, both goods. Available resources, barley, 500 tons of barley, no aluminum. I wonder where these feedbacks are. I think, oops. I want to see those. But I'm not, which is fine, I guess. View, answer, refute, confident. Oh, I want to move it, but I can't. Okay. So that's that one. We have this one. Apples only. Comparative advantage. Canada has absolute advantage in producing what? Well, apples is at 100. It's much higher than France. So it would be apples only. Trade can be beneficial to an economy because it enables more goods and services to be obtained at a lower opportunity cost. Right? These are all definitional. Manatee and coho salmon production. You could make a graph out of this, or you do a little drawing on your paper. Manatee and coho salmon production. This table shows the maximum amounts of those, both measured in pounds, that Columbia and Washington can produce. So 10 and 20, 10 and 10 for Washington. So Columbia has comparative advantage in the production of what? Well, tea. Economic model, simplified version of reality. United States and Germany. Here's another scenario. Same type of scenario. And in this case, the country that has absolute advantage of barley is U.S. The country has absolute advantage in aluminum is Germany. Circular flow diagram. Let's see if they show it or no. It's correct. Ignores a number of real-world complications in the interest of simplicity. Which of the following factors? How many sales that are not households, but the other for B2B? They missed B2B. Production possibilities, circular flow. Here's a little more complicated scenario here, which it shows you the circular flow diagram, and of course, you know, the Austrians sort of reject this as too simplistic in one regard. So we've got quantities of pineapples, and the question goes something like, production positive circular flow, assume the 2 figures represent the same economy. Capital used to flow in firms producing bananas, now flows to firms producing pineapples. The adjustment would be best represented in the PPF and move from point A toward what? Well, to point B, a decrease in banana production would increase pineapple production. Normative statement, remember normative statements, what should be, this is at the basis of the Keynesian idea, what ought to be. Saying that an unemployment rate of 8% is too high is a normative statement. I don't know, is it too high? It depends on, it's subjective. Economists may disagree about policies because they use different economic models. Disagree for the sake of discussion. only consider issues of positive and not normative. Now, everybody. Here we are with another one of these production possibility schedules. And if the economy produces 2 planes per period, it can also produce at most how many trains? 24, 2 and 24, just going to the schedule. Here's another one. Dreamliners and small jets. In this 3 points, A, B, E, and F indicate combinations of dreamliners that society can produce using all its factors efficiently. And that's the end of chapter 2. And we can go to chapter 3. I think hopefully the easiest way to do that is that. There's a lot going on over here. Just checking the cues. And back. You're gonna make me go home? See, it's just slow. And that's not my connection here is superior. Let's see. No, I'm not where I want to be now. Principles of micro. And we'll go to chapter 3. Really? Now, practice quiz for chapter 3. It should be down here. 1, 2, 3. Supply and demand. I hope you didn't have too much trouble with that. It's really the crux of the course. And we'll start here, and we'll go through them quickly just so you can see them. Market where a single buyer or seller can influence the price is competitive. Demand for potato chips. Blair, Serena, and Dan are the only 3 buyers in the market. Price of a bag of potato chips is 50 cents. Total market quantity demanded is 50 cents, right? 240. Market quantity is so many bags per month. We know Blair, Serena, and Dan. Here they are at 50 cents. 52, one. You just add these 3 across. 150, 240. Here we are for demand for bananas. Bananas are a normal good. An increase in incomes of consumers would be represented as, I assume, D2. Shift from D1 to D2. I shifted this to the right, quantity demanded. More demand. It's a normal good. It's a normal good. See if there's any feedback. I doubt there's any feedback there now. Law of demand. All those things equal. Right? Decreases the quantity demanded will increase. Price of X falls, the demand for good Y decreases. You can conclude that they are substitutes. Spaghetti and lasagna substitutes, holding other things constant. Price of spaghetti increase, the demand for lasagna will increase. Yeah, sure. The shift of demand curve for fried chicken would not be caused by a change in the price. No, shift in the demand curve would be to the right, move to the right, right. So, I don't know how you're saying this. I should know, but I'm just not. I'm not on TV. The demand curve for meals, the local Chick-fil-A will shift to the left. Chick-fil-A offers a free sandwich to people who sign up for the new rewards app. Free sandwich. Okay. I'll buy that. Yeah, I'll buy that. They don't give you any more information than that. Which factor is most likely to shift the supply curve for milk to the left? Tax. Duh. Right? Tax. That'll make people demand less milk. Demand, not quantity demanded. Not a move along the demand curve, but a shift in the demand curve. Shift. Oh, they're talking about supply curve. I'm sorry. I confused you already. Never mind. Ready? Which factor is most likely to shift the supply curve for milk to the left? In other words, the supply, the overall supply would be reduced. Tax. Milk was a normal good to go up. Decreasing the price of feed given to dairy cows, that would increase the supply. New dairy farms entering the market increase the supply, so tax on the milk. Increase in the price of strawberries causes strawberry jam producers to expect that a piece of strawberry jam or a price of strawberry jam will rise. In the market, both equilibrium price and quantity increase. Must be that the demand for strawberry jam increases by more than the supply of strawberry jam decreased. That would be the effect there. They're just getting you to think about these things, So this one, from C to A, right? A rise in the price of inputs, labor, fertilizer, would be represented in the figure as a movement from C to A. So a shift in the supply curve. Here's TV rentals. Supply of Apple TV rentals increase in the price of online movie rentals. A change illustrated the move from, in this case, it's S to T in panel C. It's panel C, S to T. Right, there we go. I don't think there's any feedback there either. Salt and vinegar chips. Not a lot of people like those. I like them sometimes. The market for, I could be in that mood. There's an excess demand of 210 bags of salt and vinegar chips per month as the price is whatever. So there's quantity, 210. So you'd say 285 minus 75. Let's see. 285 minus 75 supplied. So it's an excess demand of 210. 85 minus 75 is 10. So we know it's either this one or this one. We can, by process, I don't think any knows that. Process of elimination. However, there's excess demand. And that means the supply is smaller than the demand. Right? And no real feedback there. Demand and supply of sugar. The demand and supply of sugar here. Let's see how far in I am. I want to do about an hour video for you. There they are. Given the initial equilibrium S1 to D1, any price below will exert pressure to price to blank. 25 it'll go to, and it'll rise. That is the solution. I don't think there's anything there that's going to be in the form of feedback. So market equilibrium occurs, and this is definitional. And by the way, you can go in your book and see this. I'm hesitant to go out and go back in the book, but in the book, you click on the book and use your search, your search box and search the book. You'll find it. You'll find the solutions. There's no incentive for prices to change in the market. Quantity demanded equals quantity supply. Market clears. Increase of price and an ambiguous change in quantity are most likely caused by shift to the left of the supply curve and right of the demand curve. And you can write that out and look at it. And you know, if you're a visual, I'm a visual learner. I know what kind of learner I am. I get things of, I'm all of them. You know, beat it into me if you have to. Rote memorization works. If a demand curve is downward sloping, a decrease in supply and no change in demand will lead to A or N blank in the equilibrium quantity, or A or N blank in the equilibrium price. Well, it's a decrease. Demand curve's downward sloping, decrease in supply, right? No change in demand. So the supply curve moves to the left, right? Equilibrium quantity will go down and the price will go up. I could draw that on the board, but you should be able to draw that by now in that case. Here's another one. Shifts in demand and supply. The graph shows how supply and demand might shift in response to specific events. Rainfall, third of the nation's radish crop. Which one best describes the market for radishes? Wow, it's going to be C here. You see how the supply, all these radishes rotted in the ground. Your supply curve is going to move to the left. Prices are going to rise, right? The price goes from this equilibrium price and this quantity to this equilibrium quantity and a higher price. Less quantity, more price. Rained, they rotted. Here we are with wet and sunny year increases nation strawberry crop by 20%. What will the effect there be? Well, the crop's going to go up, so we're looking for a shift in the supply, which should probably be B, right? S2. There's B. Look, we got P2 is equilibrium in this graph. Supply and demand of the peach market marks an equilibrium at point C. Suppose most people drink peach juice in the afternoon with champagne, no less. What will be the new equilibrium point in the peach juice market? A law banning alcohol passes. Oh my God, back to prohibition. Mr. Krugman, Dr. Krugman and Wells have a sense of humor. D, look at. Suppose what would be the new equilibrium of peach juice if a law banning alcohol? People are going to drink less peach juice because they can't have any booze in it, right? So we figure their quantity will decrease, has to go down. So it's either D or A. Well, is the demand going to decrease? Yeah, probably. You know, so the supply is going to decrease too eventually. But D is the what was the new equilibrium point in the peach juice market if law banning alcohol passes? And there it is. And that's it for supply and demand. Next we'll go to, I think I can X out of that, can I? No. And go back to assessment. Yeah, it went right then there. Let's go to chapter 4, consumer and producer surplus. And here we are at equilibrium. Right, equilibrium in the market for mechanical pencils. There it is, AIF. AIF. And what they're asking is, at the equilibrium price, the market's total producer and consumer. So we can split it up. So, you know, consumer surplus is DAI, producer surplus DIF, right? The two triangles. That's the way it's done. But AIF, the whole thing together is what they're looking for in this answer. Here, using the willingness to pay Price of a bag of cashews is $9. Who will purchase? Gregory's price is $10, so he'll buy them. He's the only one. Everybody else is like, wow, what an idiot. I don't know. Maybe not. If there's a shortage and the price goes out of sight, he already owns his. George Clooney. God, he's dating himself. Does anybody know who George Clooney is anymore? I do. $14 to see him in the next movie. He gets $40 million. You and George benefit from the transaction. Thank you. I'm sure if I met George, I said, hey, I went to see your movies. He'd say, hey, thanks. Helping my kids. That's the beauty that the capitalism is love. It's love. You can't have capitalism without people wanting to add value to other people's lives. You can't have it. That's what the Marxists make this mistake, that there's something insidious, there's something morally repugnant about benefiting. It's just silly. When you think about it for more than a minute, it's silly. You and George Clooney benefit, both of you, all y'all. That's why when you go to Starbucks, you say thank you, and they say thank you. You both say thank you, because you both think you walked away from the transaction better off. Whether it's the company or the shareholders or whomever. Producer surplus in market for baseballs is P2MO, P2, right? P2MO. All right. At price P2, the producer surplus equals the area, and the producer surplus from here to here to here. Now, if we had a downward sloping demand curve, we could do the other triangle. You see where my cursor's going? It would go up here, then down here, then over here. And that would be producer surplus. But we only have the supply curve here. So we have this triangle that is producer surplus. In a straight line downward sloping demand curve, the market price of a good will increase consumer surplus. The market price of it will increase consumer surplus. Yes. No feedback there. Here's prices per bushel on something. Oranges. The amount of which total benefit of oranges to consumer exceeds total expenditures of oranges, called the consumer surplus. The price of oranges is B, and the quantity demanded by the area B, C, D. That's it. Right? And again, had we an upward sloping supply curve, we could find another triangle, and that would be the producer surplus. But this here is the consumer surplus. Nordstrom's. Oh, we love Nordstrom's. Ariana bought a new pair of shoes. And it's slightly sexist here. No, I'm kidding. When she walked out of the store, she said, I got such a great deal. I would have paid $40 more for these shoes. This best represents the concept of consumer surplus. She loved the shoes. She's like, these are the shoes I wanted. There's this unwritten or subjective area of value. It's when we get to the diamonds and water paradox, right? This is a paradox. It's why does Ariana love those shoes, or these? Why are all these guys out there buying sneakers? I don't get it. I don't. We have been talking about it the other night. We had a couple over for dinner. They're much younger than we are, and a student of mine really, and Henry, and he's like, Jim, I wish I could mimic him. You just don't get it. Look at your shoes. He's very creative and artistic and loves clothes anyway. But Henry's like, you are not with it at all. And I don't find value in shoes. I don't. My criteria is comfort and durability too. I don't want to pay a lot of money for them. Kelly, go up to the shop upstairs. Restore Village Vintage. Here's my plug. Shameless plug. She's got a lot of shoes up there. She's. I used to say, what do we got, a centipede living at home? And Alice kind of picked up on it. She likes shoes. I wish I could buy more. I'm not very good at buying. I digress. Consumer surplus there. And I'm checking my time. I don't want to kill you. Consumer surplus there. New pairs of shoes. She walks out the store. I got such a great deal. That's consumer surplus. Ariel and Abby, they download movies to their iPhones. The table movie downloads shows their willingness to pay. That's how much they're willing to pay. For an Austrian, this is a moving target. We don't pay much attention to this. People don't act the same way any given day. You know what I'm saying? And so this type of mathematization of they're trying to make a social study, a social field into a mathematical field, and we disagree. However, this is what you're going to learn and going forward in your economics career if you have one. So I don't want to. I want to present it. So here we are at $11. No individual. If an individual download is $1, what is the total consumer surplus received by these consumers? What's the total? Right. So you would total them up: 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 1/4. Third Mary, fourth Mary, $1. No, we don't get those. We don't get that one. We don't get that one. So 5 here. 650, 750, 850, 9, 10, 11, 12, 50. Okay, 11. And to give it down, what is the total consumed by these consumers? $1. So anything over $1 is in. Yeah. Yeah. So you would subtract $1 from the ones that are over $1, right? So downloaded for $1, so it'd be 1, 2, 3, and 350 is 650, 850, 950, 10, 11 would be our total. It's a little tricky, but that's how that goes. Here's the consumer surplus for opera tickets. Willingness to pay is there. If the price of ticket C8 is 50, there's no other market for tickets. Total consumer surplus is 105, right? So you'd 90, 105, and these people wouldn't. Kiana and Nathaniel don't go, right? They don't go because they're not willingness to pay. Their willingness to pay is assume that each student wants to buy a ticket. If the price of the ticket is $50 at no other market, total consumer surplus. Oh, they are going to go. So you would subtract these to get back to 105. So 100 minus 50 is 50. 90 minus 50 is 40. So 54 is 90. 65, 90, 105, 0, and minus 15. Right? Yeah. So 50, 40, 90. Yeah, so it adds up to 105 if you do the addition and subtraction correctly. Romulus and Remus, 2 loaves of bread, current prices. So their consumer surplus is greater than Romulus. Total producer surplus in California cheese market, sum of individuals. Willingness to pay here. Explains the relationship between the number of tax returns a firm's willing to produce and the lowest price it's willing to accept in order to prepare them. If the price for tax returns is $15, yeah, I wish. How many tax returns will the firm produce, and what will the producer surplus be? Well, it looks like 15. Let's see. They'll do 5, and 25. Yeah, and 15, 26, 27, 34, 42, 42, 33. Yes, if the tax return is 50, how many tax returns and what will the producer surplus be? $33 is the answer. The table below explains the relationship between the number of tax returns a firm is willing to prepare and the lowest price is willing to accept to prepare the number of reports. So the 5th report gets 15, 4th gets 14, that's 26, and 8 is 34, 6 is 40, so it's 42 altogether. 33, 43. So it'd be 5 at 43. And so that's interesting. The lowest price they're willing to accept. So you see how that works? It should be fairly simple for you. Oops, go back one. If you pay the price exactly equal to your willingness to pay, consumer will be 0. Monthly supply of lattes at $3. The 120. The producer surplus is equal to 3. 180. Right, 180. That's $3 a latte. 120. So they're looking for total revenue. Just the same way as it, total revenue here. So, table shows Columbia University students' opportunity cost of selling tickets to Verdi's Aida. Assume that each student has 1 ticket and it's $75. Producer surplus $50. Same as that other question. Same here. Asking producer surplus in this one. Nonetheless, same idea. And if a price of good exceeds the competitive equilibrium, then firms produce more than the efficient quantity. No outside intervention. There's no outside intervention. No mutually beneficial trades will be missed. That's equilibrium. Economic signals guide decision makers in their transactions in the market. Prices. This is the problem with socialism. Once you start meddling with prices, or not pricing anything in the form of communism, these ideological ideas, utopian ideas, that there's no prices. They guide transactions. Without those signals, they're not just prices. They're not just greed or something. They're signals. They have a function in the marketplace. Which is the following factors that key to a well-functioning market? Right of individuals and firms to dispose of their private property. We agree. The Keynesians agree with the Austrians, agree with the neoclassicals. We agree on this one. So, good place to end there. And that is chapter 4. Go to chapter 5. We've been going for 44 minutes. And 5, of course, price controls and quotas. My favorite. I think I just did the interlude to that as What happens when you start messing around with markets. Lots of things happen. None of them are good. Market for audiobooks, the price floor of $15 would result in a deadweight loss of $20. How do we measure that? Deadweight loss from here to here, $20. Let's see. Just see the solution tells you it's correct. I wanted to show you some of that. I wonder why it doesn't do that for me. But anyway, I seem to remember doing that. So the deadweight loss, if you were at 5, price floor of $15, and thou shalt not charge less than $15. 15 times 5 is 75, right? And 9 times 9 is 81. That's so your deadweight loss is the $20 figure, which is pretty simple. You would only supply 5 at that price. You would demand 15. Your price would be 15. You'd only be selling 5. 15, 45. Your deadweight loss is big. Terrible idea. Alaskan crabs, 750 pounds. If they impose a price of $15, the quantity of crabs exchanged will be what? That is the government is price ceiling of $15, right? Oh, 750. That is really? Looks wrong to me. Okay, 150. Now, Popeyes, suppose the price floor is set at $7. Here's $7 up here. The amount supplied will be here, right? And the demand will be somewhere out here. At this price, consumer surplus is equal to blah, producer surplus equal to this. So up here, producer would be 1, 2, 3, right? Or consumer surplus would be this triangle up here. Set at $7, yeah. So this triangle up here, and the producer surplus is down here, 7, all the way down here. Quite a bit. It's $40. Price floor or ceiling is an example of a price control. Price floor often results in black markets, right? Underground transactions in the good because they're too expensive. This is the problem with, they do it in the pot shops. It's so regulated that it's quite expensive. So that, the local dope dealer is still around because there's a black market. Suppose the demand, I call them dope dealers. I don't know what they are now. I'm old, and I don't smoke pot, so I don't care. Suppose the demand equation is given by P equals 100 minus 2Q. Supply equation, P equals 20 plus 2Q. If the quantity of bought and sold is 10, what's the price ceiling, right? 100 minus 20. If it's Q, it's the price is 80. 40 plus 4 is 80. And sold on the price Q equals 10. uh, you can figure that out graphically if you just draw yourself a little graph. Diane and Grant, $20 an hour. He's 15. The value equally. What is the most likely outcome? Graham will spend more time than Dan, right? He's time is his constraint, you know. So here we are before and after rent control. The answer is C here. That's the deadweight loss. That illustrates some of those other problems for you a lot of times, right? Your deadweight loss is that little triangle in there between the consumer and the producer surplus. Okay. Hope that works. These market for kombucha. The table shows the quantity demanded, QD, and supplied in various prices. $3 a bottle of kombucha. The quantity will be X bottles. Will be how many bottles? $3 a bottle. Well, at $3 a bottle, you'll get $8. You'll get 8 bottles. You can draw it on a graph. You know, try and draw these things graphically, and you'll get it better. Price control market for gasoline. There's all kinds of taxes, quotas, and tariffs, and all the BS on gasoline. We do not have a free market in oil and gas. We never have, except maybe when John D. Rockefeller first started, but that was it. And that was all kerosene, mind you. They threw gas away. They dumped it in a ditch and put it back in the ground. By the way, it wasn't a spill to them. It was coming out of the ground already. It was no moral. I was watching about BP Horizon and systemic failure last night. Forget about it. It was just a late night thing of mine. But I wanted to know what went wrong with the fail safes on the ocean floor, and so I Googled it or I YouTubed it. But anyway, oil's coming out of the bottom of the ocean right now. It is naturally. There are the oil sands in Canada. When the Canadian government says, "Well, we're going to stop the environmental degradation of oil sand," you know, I mean, all I can say is, isn't that ironic? The oil sands are a spill. What the companies are doing up there is cleaning up the spill. Look at the pictures of them reclaiming this land that's got all this oil in the sand, and it's like, well, these questions aren't so simple. God, you know, oil's natural, comes from dead dinosaurs, if you will. So if it goes back in the ground, what's the harm? Yes, some fish are killed. Yes, it's horrible that there's oil floating in the ocean. Yeah, okay. Could we do better? Yes. Price control market for gasoline. One effective price ceiling would be the price indicated point where shortage creating a D, A, B, C, D, D, right? The price ceiling, you can charge no more than that. Price D indicated at point D, creating a shortage, right? Creating a shortage because the supply is going to go down. Producers will only supply that much, equal the difference between the points I and H. Here's the difference, because that's how much is demanded. That's your shortage. There's where your black market is, between H and I. That's where you're going to get it. Market for microeconomics textbook. Oof. Suppose the government believes that microeconomics textbooks are too expensive, want to make them more affordable. Yeah, I'm sure doctors Krugman and Wells are worried about that. Ensuring that they're available to students, given a price ceiling at $80. $80 price ceiling. The market outcome would be a shortage between 40 and 15. Uh, right here, here's your shortage. Oh, 10 and 40, which is 30. So there'd be a shortage between 10 and 40. Oh, my trading platform is logging out. I gotta get out of there. It goes, yeah, it'll log out after a while. I'm with Charlie Schwab. So that's that one. Price controls the market of strawberries. Same kind of question. So you analytically get through that. Unskilled workers, binding minimum wage. Some unskilled workers have a difficult time finding a job. This is the unintended consequences of an empathetic position. We need to look at all factors involved before we decide on. And besides that, we all know that if you pay a minimum wage, prices rise, and those people are wiped out. This is the inflation we have right now. It falls on poor people. It's a tax on poor people. Alaskan more proportionally, a regressive tax on the poor. So, and if you think about it for more than 10 minutes, you come to that conclusion. Use this figure, Alaskan king crabs, if they want to limit crab sales of 500 pounds, There it is. Market for milk, right up my alley. Price floor is $1.10. Imposing the market inefficiency will result of a surplus of 3 at 10. Where was it? $1.10. Here it is. Thou shalt not, thou shalt not price milk below that. So the surplus is 3 gallons of milk. That's why we have milk. Just everywhere we dump it out. It's sad. Here's another market for milk one. Impose a price of 90 cents a gallon. The quantity of milk actually purchased will be what? 10. Turns out it's 10. I don't think there's any equation there for that. Market for kombucha. In this case, a surplus of 3 bottles. Which statements are false? Quantity controls below the market equilibrium drive a wedge between demand and supply price of the good. No. Yeah. The difference between the demand price and supply price of quota limit is consumer surplus. Now, quantity controls have no desirable side effects, undesirable side effects. Yeah, okay. No, we all agree on that. It depends on what your goals are. The goal is to save farmers. From what? I don't know. I was a farmer myself. You always drove up the street thinking that guy should go out of business. He's not a good farmer. And by the way, if you're an activist, an animal lover, or which I am, nobody loves animals more than I do. I don't think. But what happens is when you set a price, what are the unintended consequences of setting a price ceiling to save farmers, so to speak, because they're people of the soil, men and women of the soil, if you will, and this kind of folklore about farming no longer exists clearly. But if it ever exists, it doesn't exist. Why is a farmer better than an electrician? Not. But the idea that you want to preserve this folklore, so you do that. What you end up is more animal abuse. Because you got bad farmers out there. So, it tips them into not feeding their cows or their horses or their whatever they're raising. So that's an unintended consequence. Well, who caused it? Well, I'm an individualist, so yeah, if you don't feed your animals, I think you should be buried under the prison. But nonetheless, when you incentivize behavior through your dumbass policy, and your dumbass policy is keeping bad farmers in business, right? So not only does the free market provide better price discovery, in my opinion, but it also doesn't incentivize bad moral behavior by keeping bad actors in business. So because nobody makes money by not feeding their animals. It's nobody want to. People don't want to do that. They're driven by their own greed and avarice and all sorts of other terrible problems. So demand equation, here we are, and it's $80, quantity bought and sold. What's the price floor? They're asking what the floor is. You back into that through the geometry of finding that those numbers. Alaskan lobster, market for Alaskan lobster. The government imposes a quota limiting sales to 1,000 pounds. Quota rent per pound is what? Ends up being $2.50 from 5 to 7.50, right? And that's that chapter. And I think we're right at an hour, which is great. I'm gonna knock this off for a little while, and I'll go through some more tomorrow. I think I'll make some more tapes, but I'll upload this one right away, and that'll help with homework, I hope. Remember, you've got 4 discussions to do, and they're listed here. Really 5. You want to make sure that you did the welcome to class thing, but there they all are, and I love your writing. Everything looks great. I just have such fun reading what you're thinking. And again, don't think that you can't be a Marxist or whatever just because I'm not. That's bullshit. What I think is what I think. I'm trying to present to you. I've had you buy a Keynesian book. I'm not a Keynesian, and I want to make sure that you get as much as robust an education as I can. But if I didn't disclose my bias, how good, what good is me getting up here and telling you what I think as a professor, to say, hey, gee, I think that free markets could do this or that, but you don't have to agree. And I actually invite you to not agree, and please, write about that. But use, this is when I say I've read at Capital, I've read it. You do the reading. It's very difficult. Your credibility suffers if you haven't done the reading, and you can't, quote the necessary passage in the book to back up your thinking. So the only difference between someone who's a professor and someone who's not, or someone if you're younger, is I've just had more time to read. It's a time thing, and I've had more time to study. That's it. I'm not smarter in terms of, maybe I am, in terms of IQ. IQ and IQ is a slippery thing. It just gets you there faster, quicker. But nonetheless, wisdom is the difference between knowledge and wisdom is something. And the difference between IQ and what we call fluid knowledge is how much you've read, and how you parse that, and how you come up with your interpretations of that. And, there's a hierarchy of those. It's not 2 + 2 doesn't equal 5. It equals 4. It just is. So we used to call truth. But a college education is supposed to be seeking truth, lux et veritas, light and truth, to quote the Latin. And I don't have I believe in open inquiry and heterodox views. So that's really, really important. And so if somebody shuts down your views because you're a Marxist or you're a conservative, or whatever you are, whatever your views are today, you should run from those people. Okay, have a great day. What's left of it? It's 1 o'clock in my world, in the mountains of Colorado, Glenwood Springs, Colorado Mountain College. This is microeconomics, and I appreciate you coming to class or watching these YouTubes, and we will talk soon.